Hello and welcome to ABM Strategy That You Can Steal, an ABM campaign that closed $243,000 in revenue in just 3 months. And you read that correctly. This is a real campaign that we're going to walk you through, not a fluffy ABM theory, but real stuff that was done with real clients on a real target account list that generated real results. And I could not be more excited to be joined by Raj Kira, who is the head of growth over at Sales Intel. So Raj, thank you for joining me today.
Hey, Mason, thank you for having me. This is going to be an exciting webinar. You know, we do lots of webinars, but I can tell you this one's like hardcore numbers and a full strategy, and we're going to deconstruct the whole thing. So let's share what we found.
Absolutely.
And I love the other idea that this is pretty much copy and paste, like steal the whole everything that you're about to hear, share it with your friends, tell your neighbors. One of those things, right? So,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
So while we've got people coming in, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and start asking just a couple questions to get a pulse on where everybody is in their ABM journey. So first question, who is running an ABM campaign right now? Like you've come in and you already are running something, or you find yourself where you are running something, but you need some help, or I want to run something in 2022, or you showed up today and were like, I've heard about this concept of ABM. I'm not really 100% sure of what that actually is, but I want to learn more about it. So those are some of the options. We've got some votes coming in already about what I expected. Currently leading, not yet, but I want to in 2022. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. We've got a couple people that are still voting, but to keep things moving, 68% of you said you are not yet running an ABM campaign, but you really want to in 2022. Some of you are running one right now, but you need some help, which is where we find a lot of people, because ABM is a bit complex, and we hope to help you today. And just so you can also hear the results.
Not surprising, because I know it's a big topic, and there's a lot to it. And there's a lot of companies that want to get started. And what do you do next? That's the big question. Yeah. So let's share.
One last question. Do you currently have an ICP? Do you currently have an ICP, which stands for Ideal Customer Profile? Got a lot of yeses, which is fantastic. So the reason we're asking, at the end, we're actually going to give away a free 100 contacts to help you build a starter account, target account list. So you can actually go and run with this strategy really starting tomorrow if you wanted to. So if you've got an ICP, what I would greatly appreciate you doing is actually dropping your ICP in the chat. At the end, Raj is going to pick out an ICP and we'll build a target account list using a tool called Sales Intel, which is an amazing tool. So again, large majority of you actually do have an ICP, which is very, very encouraging as we get started with this. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. I always like to start by saying thank you for joining us today. You have 168 hours in your entire week, not including, most of us like to sleep, and you decided to spend an hour with us. So thank you for joining. And secondly, what I always like to ask of people is really, what were you hoping to get out of today? So go ahead and drop that in the chat. What do you want to get out of today? We've got some time at the end for Q&A. So we want to be sure that we cover exactly what you were hoping to get out of this webinar. Also, today's topics are going to be target accounts. So how do you even go about maybe selecting a target account list? The goals of this strategy that we ran, again, real client, real results. So what were the original goals? What was the strategy? What were the tactics? What were the results? And then again, we're going to do a live demo of building a target account list using Sales Intel based on the ICPs that you guys have put in the chat. And now I already have a question from, I'm going to say Vera. How do you drop an ICP in the chat? I'm just going to ask that you put like revenue, employee number, industry, any kind of tech. So again, however you want to frame it, but the more clear you are, the more likely you are to get chosen. So just be very, very clear with your ideal customer profile.
Yeah, the more narrow it is, the better it is, because then you can really hone in on exactly who you want. And for those of you, I know there's about like 30% of the attendees said that you don't currently have one. I know we're going to talk about it in just a couple of minutes, but just to give you a a flavor for what you want to start thinking about is not just who buys your services, but just think about your current best clients. Who are the clients that are not giving you a pain in the neck? They're not the ones that are constantly calling you for support. The ones that actually pay their bills. Those are your best clients, right? So you want to find more people just like them. That's like ICP nirvana right there. So think about what's that profile look like? What are the characteristics of the companies, size, revenue, who inside the companies buys, who makes the buying decisions. So just think about all those, and just in one line, just put those into the chat. What we're going to do at the end, we just pick one of those. I'm going to show you how you can actually find these really fast, so it streamlines your process for ABM.
Fantastic. And Raj, I think that's a perfect way to segue into Raj, who are you and what do you do?
All right, I am the head of growth at Sales Intel. I'm actually a former three-time CEO and CMO of multiple SaaS companies, B2B SaaS companies, and so I've built and sold a few companies to sold in public companies, and I'm now heading growth at Sales Intel. Very excited about it because the ability to allow or enable clients to really ramp up their sales pretty quickly. That's what Sales Intel does, and so I'm really happy to be here and share what we can. Just a quick note, if you guys want to type my name right into LinkedIn and want to connect with me, just go ahead and do it. I will connect and just put a little note saying, saw you on the webinar today. That's it. I'll connect with you and look forward to sharing more down the pike.
Absolutely. And my name is Mason Cosby. I work at Mojo Media Labs, and my job is to run the marketing of a marketing agency. So I market marketers, which is a super fun job. And what I really love about this is I'm right there in the trenches with you. So I'm not, off working with clients and I'm, 3 steps away, but I am in the trenches doing the tactics and the strategies right alongside you guys. So I just really love the opportunity to connect with you guys. Same with Raj. Just type my name into LinkedIn. I'd be happy to connect. And if you ever need a hand, I'm happy to always hop on a 30-minute free strategy call just to talk through what we're doing that's working for us and what might be able to help you. So with that, one of the key pieces to ABM is actually brand recognition. So before this client, and just to give a little bit more context, this client offers social media reputation management. So they help large organizations manage their online reputation so that it's always favorable. And they underwent a pretty major brand refresh project. So in the process of doing that, they got a clarified brand message. We are a story brand certified agency over here at Mojo. They had a brand guideline, so they knew all their colors, their iconography, XYZ. They had a brand Bible that aligned everything from beginning to end so that they had a clearly recognizable brand. And they also, in this process, did develop their ideal customer profile. And Raj, when we were preparing for this, you had a really, really good point on really just the importance of a clear brand. And I think you had a great example.
Well, yeah, let's take a look at Coca-Cola, right? Everybody's heard of Coca-Cola. And so when you look at a Coca-Cola can in the United States, in Japan, it's written in a different language, but just the way the font looks like Coca-Cola. That is how they reinforce their brand. And you go anywhere inside in the world and you just see the way they wrote the Coca-Cola logo, you can just instantly tell what it is. And so there's other things, related to brand messaging. It's not just what your fonts and colors look like, it's what it stands for. If anybody thinks of the Virgin brand of companies, Virgin Airlines and now Virgin Galactic and stuff, you've got the Richard Branson thing in your mind, and it's a little bit edgy, right? There's certain things you sort of expect from a brand like that. Whereas if you think IBM, you think something very different, right? Like it's just a mindset that you think instantly with it. So a lot of times, we talk to smaller companies, they don't fully have a brand identified yet, and that's okay. That is perfectly okay. But just start thinking about how you want to be able to communicate to your customers when they start seeing ads, because part of ABM includes putting ads out. You want them to be the same colors, the same styles, the same everything. So they start making those connections. It takes about 7 touches before somebody just even remembers that they're trying to like seeing you. And so if they've seen you in completely different ways, like one brand's got a completely different, one message has got a completely different type of look and feel compared to another one, they're not going to make that correlation. But if they just start seeing similar design elements, they will. So just think about that. You may not have to go through as extensive pre-planning session as we've described here, Mason, you probably have examples of clients who haven't done that level of intense work, especially at this, like a smaller organization. Like God, I don't want you to like think, oh my God, I got to look at this list. I got to do all this before I even start an ABM campaign. Done. Next, right? We don't want that. But just think about the branding when you start pursuing this.
Absolutely. You don't necessarily need a brand Bible, but you need consistency in your messaging and in the colors. So those are just some things to be aware of so that you can build awareness within those target accounts. So moving on, again, for this pilot campaign, the client wanted to focus on a very, very small target account list that would have a high impact. And that's another way of saying that would have a high revenue and growth impact. So when they looked at their existing customer base, again, this is social media reputation management, they saw that large pharmaceutical companies would majorly benefit from their services. And I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but if we look at the past 18 to 24 months, I think we can all agree pharmaceutical companies could probably use some help on reputation management online. And I should have clarified this earlier. When we say that this campaign was run with a real company, this campaign spanned from June to August of 2021. So again, very recent, very effective, and is still generating benefit for them today. So with that, in building that target account list, they ended up identifying about 73 target accounts. And, a lot of people think it takes a super long time when you go after super large organizations to see any kind of an effect from ABM. But just to give you a picture, and I'm not officially confirming or denying what accounts were on the target account list, but just think companies like Bristol Myers, Novartis, Johnson & Johnson, those kinds of large pharmaceutical companies were the type of organizations that this company went after. So now that you've got that in your mind, we're going to go ahead and jump right over into really the overview and the strategy. And the idea here was build an evergreen holistic campaign to educate the pharma industry on the importance of social management. And the reason we started with, again, pharma, small target account list, small total even addressable market in many ways, but this campaign was starting to build awareness and engagement. And more importantly, it was their first ever ABM campaign. The goal here was lay a foundation so we know what works from a tactical perspective so that we can then, in many ways, actually rinse and repeat this kind of campaign across other industries. So again, laid the foundation for the 3 different types of ABM campaigns, which are one-to-many, one-to-few, and one-to-one campaigns. And it all just began with personalized advertising, and it works in more custom outreach based on the levels of engagement, which we'll see a little bit later on. Again, whole focus was actually just to build intent and interest with content and just collect more data so that they could optimize moving forward. And then the main tools for content distribution that they used were Terminus, LinkedIn, email, and website content. And again, you might be looking at this thinking, I don't have Terminus, and that's okay. With native LinkedIn social advertising, you can actually do account-based advertising, again, just within the feed. If you have the ability to send an email, you can use that. And if you have the ability to make any changes on your website, you can also use website content. So don't look at this and say, I can't do this. I'm just making you aware of the tools that they had. Raj, are there any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think I just want to hone in on bullet number 3 there, where you've got a very key word, and it's personalized. Personalization is the key to ABM. So ABM is not your typical marketing technique. It's not batch and blast. It's not give me a biggest list I can find and just just throw spaghetti on the wall and see who's going to respond, what's going to stick. This is a very targeted, very focused effort. As you saw, Mason pointed out that as this company evaluated who they're going to go after, it was 73 companies. That was it. And so when you're looking at 73 companies, it's typically for a decision like this, it's not one person in the company that's making a decision. Could be a committee, it could be a group, it could be people tying in one division with another division. So you've got lots of people inside there, and everybody's going to respond to a different message. So if you need to get buy-in from finance and you need to get buy-in from the end user, you need to have different messages. So you need to know who those different players are that collectively make up those types of decisions and personalize your outreach to them. So again, not batch and blast.
Absolutely. And just again, starting out with the goals, we had really 4 categories. So there was target account awareness, and that just means, are we actually reaching the accounts? And for us to qualify it as reaching, did they have at least 1 impression on an ad? The benchmark across really ABM campaigns is about 75%. There's a whole lot of reasons behind that, like email match and a bunch of details that you may not want to talk through here. But if you're partnering with an agency, you should hopefully expect more than just benchmark results. So for this client, we set the goal of 90% target account awareness. From an engagement perspective, which just means did they actually click through? Did they click on an ad? Did they engage and consume any content from the campaign? Benchmark is 25% of a target account list. We were showing with a goal of 30% within a 3-month time frame. Now, number in pipeline and revenue, these vary. In case you're wondering why would number in pipeline and revenue vary? Well, it's advisable that if you're going to run an ABM campaign, that you have about an average deal size of 25,000 as kind of your minimum. But I think we can all understand that a $25,000 deal has a radically different sales cycle and sales process than a $20 million deal. $20 million decisions are typically more important and a little bit bigger than $25,000 decisions. So
yeah. Hey, Mason, just a quick point of clarification here. When on the second item here, where you say are the target accounts active with the marketing collateral, can you elaborate on what does that mean? Like, what does it mean to be active with marketing collateral? Because I think that might be a question people have.
Absolutely. And actually, when we get into the campaign itself, I'll identify the specific tactics that indicated to us active. But again, we sent them an email. They engaged with a specific landing page. So they were reading the content within the specific landing page. They might have downloaded a content offer and actually gone into an email sequence. And sorry, that's what happens when you talk with your hands. Sometimes you hit your microphone, but all that to say, again, some level of engagement where they are actually not just receiving the ads, receiving the emails, but they are taking a step forward into some level of, hey, I'm reading, I'm engaging, I'm actually enjoying the content.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So with that, again, number in pipeline, we were hoping and had a goal of 25% of the target account list would actually enter into the pipeline. Again, 3-month period. And then from a revenue perspective, we weren't fully expecting revenue. Again, this was actually more of an awareness campaign than anything else. And the goal was of those 25%, we honestly expected 67% of them would actually then turn into an opportunity with a dollar amount attached to a deal. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this. We'll bring this back up after I've walked through the tactics. But here's the high level overview. So we had awareness ads, sales sequences for unengaged accounts, and that was where everything started. So again, we'll walk through what a sales sequence actually is, but just know it's essentially emailing and something that you give over to your sales team. So I saw that there was a question specifically for BDRs. So if you've got a team of BDRs or SDRs or ADRs or whatever your development rep role is called, you would have, this company gave sales sequences to those development reps to help them and get engaged in the ABM campaign overall. There was a dedicated landing page that was specifically built to educate. If they engaged with that, then they got a different set of ads that sent them towards different landing pages. And from there, once they actually then did a hand raise and they said, we want to talk to sales, we're interested in actually moving forward into a buying process. They then moved into that initial connection meeting to make sure that they understood everything that the product was and then had an opportunity assigned with a dollar amount. So Raj, are there any quick thoughts? We can take a quick sip of water.
Well, I think it's really important to stress that ABM is not a marketing function or a sales function. It's a collaborative effort, and there's no handoff per se. It is a constant collaborative effort, because when you start, let's say your marketing generates a blip on the radar. Someone raises their hand. I'm interested in this guide. They get the guide. So the sales team reaches out to them, but then they start digging deeper to figure out what else they could share with them. That you're not going to make a $100,000 buying decision pretty much in a week. Very rare that would happen. And so, the sales team then would go back and not just like leave it in the sales team's hands, but go back to marketing and say, so these are the things that I heard in that discovery conversation. And then the marketing team can actually then develop additional material that they then feed to the sales team to try to keep that momentum going. More so, they can also continue to pepper that individual with follow-up ads so you stay top of mind. So it really is not a handoff. It is a continuous sync. And that's why with ABM campaigns, it's not batch and blast. It's very focused. It's almost like you're creating a unique personalized marketing campaign for every account that you're going after. And so you do this again, you do this based on the accounts that you have the potential for high dollar revenue for. It's not like, oh, we're going to make $5,000 off an account. Let's do an ABM campaign. That's probably not the best use of your time. If it's a 50,000 and above type of account, oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So
absolutely. So we are going to run through, again, very specific tactics and really help you understand. So if there are any questions that come up as I run through these, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll get to those at the end. So with that, again, starting with awareness, we again built and created and enriched a target account list of 73 target accounts. And when I use the word enriched, what I mean is we had the companies and then we actually found the right people in the organizations, got their contact information and created ways to actually reach them. From there, we actually built a thought leadership landing page that offered a lot of information around the industry specific problem and then viable solutions. So it wasn't immediately like, hey, here's the problem and buy our product, but it was making them aware of, hey, you guys are in a pharmaceutical situation. There's COVID. There's lots of thoughts around how pharmaceutical companies should be handling COVID. You guys need help managing your reputation. Here's a couple ways you could manage your reputation. They also offered a downloadable audit report that just gave them more information on essentially when you have effective reputation management, what does it do for your business? And that ended up triggering an automated email sequence that we'll get to in a second. Again, this was all sent out through Terminus. So again, those are display advertising. I've realized I've just said the word Terminus numerous times, but Terminus is an ABM platform where you can actually input your target account list, and they have partnered with display advertising networks. So you can specifically serve ads to those on your target account list. It's a great tool, but again, you can actually do something very similar leveraging LinkedIn. So the only difference there is display networks all over the internet, LinkedIn, obviously just on LinkedIn. But again, from an ABM advertising perspective, you can do it natively without having to get the tool. So if you're looking for a pilot campaign, that's where I recommend people go. And then lastly, they actually equipped the sales team with a sales sequence that would drive more content consumption. We use the term sales sequence because our clients typically are using HubSpot, and that is the specific feature within HubSpot that equips sales teams to have both automated and templated out emails, regulates when you have a phone call, social connection. So someone can be, sorry, let me reframe that. A salesperson can opt a specific contact into a sales sequence, and then it just assigns the tasks, sends them the emails, and helps them build out the templates so that the sales team isn't questioning, what am I supposed to do with this account? But they just know based on the sales sequence that was built in tandem with the marketing team, exactly what their next steps are every step of the way. So it ends up creating a lockstep between marketing and sales to go after the same accounts. So when I use the term sales sequence, that is what I'm referring to. With that, again, when we look back at the end of the overarching strategy and tactics that were used, once they had engaged with this landing page that was specifically designed to raise awareness and educate them on the problems, and it had that content offer available, once they had downloaded that offered then 3 additional automated emails that more information on the problem and started to position our client as the potential solution. And then there was another sales sequence that the sales team then started to use that was more personalized, more hands-on to do outreach. And that sales sequence actually did include templated emails, phone calls, social connections. So reaching out over LinkedIn to do connections, social LinkedIn DMs, as well as starting to make connections across the entire buying committee. So I know right now I'm actually in the process of buying a piece of technology for something next year. And I'm looking at 2 vendors. One vendor, I'm only connected with one guy. The other vendor has actually started having other people in their organization start to connect with me and connect with other people in Mojo, to where that vendor is actually having more headway, even though they're actually a little bit more expensive, because more people on my team are aware of that vendor and of what they are offering our team. And when you do high touch engagements like that, you generate awareness within the entire account in a non-threatening, but very inviting and engaging way. And that is what this client also did. The last piece is, when necessary, they also did do direct mail sends. So think about sending a gift. I remember the first time I saw one of our coworkers get a gift in the office, and it was a bottle of champagne, and I've never seen someone more excited on Thursday at 2 p.m. and it breaks through the noise. So when necessary, when they had a lot of engagement, but they just weren't quite entering into that next step, they did do direct mail sends. So sorry. Another slide just on general consideration tactics. So again, more personalized from a consideration standpoint. They did remarketing based on those that had come to the awareness page. And what I really love about this is that awareness landing page was specifically catered to pharmaceutical companies, whereas their remarketing consideration decision stages, because again, this was more the pilot campaign. The focus of the campaign was awareness. So they actually just repurposed the existing other pages that they had on their website. So they had solutions pages that promoted their own brand. They had scheduled consultation pages. They had existing resources like use cases, to statistics and case studies, and just they had other data that was more inbound focused to help generate a hand raise. But again, they focused on the awareness piece in building so much awareness of their specific product and the problem that the pharmaceutical companies were facing, that when they then really just plugged the more general content about how their product worked, the pharmaceutical companies already knew exactly how it solved the problem. Now, granted, as they've gone back and done more, we are now working on really finalizing the consideration and decision stages. But I'm just saying, from a very practical standpoint, you probably have a lot of the content you need for an ABM campaign today. It's just a matter of repurposing what you have to be more specific, more tailored, more personalized for the individual target accounts. And then again, ran a lot of these ads through Terminus to drive people towards the consideration landing pages. Then finally, decision tactics. So when we say decision tactics, what we mean is somebody has filled out a form, they've requested a consultation, they've scheduled a call, they've requested a demo, whatever that main call to action is for you that enters somebody into a buying process. They had an automated email that came from the assigned rep with an introduction video that explained their sales process and offered contact information. And I just want to give you an example of what this introduction video could look like. Again, 73 accounts. So many of you on the call probably have a sales team of probably 10, 15, 20, 30 people. I don't know how large your sales teams are, but if you, let's, for example, say 10, 73 target accounts, everybody gets 7, a couple really high closers get 8. Everybody takes an afternoon and records a personalized introduction video that says, hey, my name is Mason. I'm over here at Mojo. Thank you so much for scheduling a call. Really looking forward to speaking with you. Here are the specific ways that I know that our company can help you in these specific ways. And it's, again, at that point, hyper-personalized, one-to-one, building a real connection and relationship. Because if you get another email from somebody else that says, thanks for scheduling a call, and it's just all text, but then the competitor sends you a video that references your company in the specific ways that your organization can help them, who are you already on a better foot with? Who do you already feel cares more about the success of your business? And again,
yeah. One of the
7-8 videos.
Yeah, one of the quick techniques, and some of you who may be using videos already know this, but for those who aren't, if you get like a tiny little whiteboard, something that you can just hold up just about this size, and you write down hi, and then that person's first name. And in your video, the first thing you do is you hold that up, and that is the quick, what do they call it, the thumbnail image that they see. So when you send your email out, the first thing, like if I got an email, it would say, hi, Raj, and somebody holding that up, I am much more likely to click on that video because I know they personalized it to me. It's not just a generic company video that they sent out. So again, driving home the point of personalization, that's one quick way to actually do that personalized outreach. But the other thing Mason touched on was also really important for personalization. It doesn't just mean mail merge somebody's first name or company name into a generic message. The message is personalized. So if I am the CFO and you're trying to reach me, I'm thinking about ROI. I'm thinking about making sure that, we've like the budget's intact, that we're going to get the money back. So I'm just thinking monetary stuff. If I am the chief revenue officer, I'm thinking about how am I going to drive more sales, right? So your video, your email has to hit those specific points. So it's certainly worth the time to just spend that extra, you know, hour, a couple hours brainstorming with your team, thinking about it yourself, maybe doing some research on, talking points for others. And it all goes down to that ICP. What does that company need? And then the persona, what does that persona respond to? So yeah, those are really good planning things for your campaigns.
Absolutely. And again, just to bring it back together, now that we've walked through some of the details of exactly what was run, again, awareness, ads, and just a starter sales sequence that all drove this to the same place. So people that were on the target account list started getting advertising and started getting emails. So 2 channels. And again, they were personalized to specifically big pharmaceutical companies, but it wasn't saying in the ad per se, like, check out this case study specifically designed for Johnson & Johnson, and only sending that to Johnson. I mean, it was targeted, very specific to a unique set of individuals, but it wasn't one-to-one or one-to-few at that point. It was once the account started to show engagement that it got more and more and more personalized. And again, that is actually by design, because both marketers and salespeople are trying to maximize their time. So by taking this approach and getting more personalized, the more engaged they actually become, the more likely you are to actually focus your efforts on those that have the highest likelihood of closing. What we actually saw in the results was just that. So from a results standpoint, again, target account awareness, that was the main goal of the campaign from the get, was to make accounts aware that this company existed. 100% of the accounts at least saw one ad, which that's great. What I find better than just account awareness, 93% clicked on a link and engaged with our content, engaged with either the landing page itself, with the audit, but they actually went to the company's website and were aware that they existed and actually started to enjoy and consume some of the content. So when you look at that, it's like 68 or 69 total target accounts of a total of 73 accounts. That is amazing. Even better than that. Oh, sorry, you go ahead, Raj.
Can you share some examples of what kind of content they were engaging with?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think through, again, big pharmaceutical companies and just general reputation management, it was walking through, for example, all the ways that you have to manage your reputation online. So that could be Quora, that could be Twitter, that could be Reddit, that could be Facebook, that could be LinkedIn, that could be Insta. I mean, there are just so many places that your reputation, especially if you are a billion-dollar organization, there's a lot of places and a lot of people that have very strong opinions about you. So how do you then go about actually managing that reputation so that you can ensure there's not false information being spread, but that there is accurate, up-to-date information that actually helps your organization have a favorable opinion really in the whole of in the public. I mean, if you think about, again, I don't know how many people have not been touched by a large pharmaceutical company in the US. So people have very strong opinions about it. So it was, again, that kind of content, and then showing the benefits of what it looks like when you have a well-managed, well-maintained online social brand. So that was the kind of content, again, very specific to big pharmaceutical companies, and not just general. I think we could all understand we need a great reputation online. I think everybody gets that. But again, this was very specific to the benefits that exactly pharmaceutical companies will receive. But I think even more important than that, it was so specific to the problems that they are facing uniquely.
Yeah. That's really like the heart of it, isn't it? It's like you're solving their problems. You're not just trying to push another solution to something that they've seen 25 times already.
Yep.
So solve their problems. Yeah.
So once they, again, recognized this major problem that they were experiencing, 50% of the total target account list actually entered into pipeline and had a dollar amount actually associated with their deal. Again, that's over 30 open opportunities with massive organizations in just a span of 3 months. That is insane for a pilot campaign. And they ended up actually closing, again, I'm not able to share exactly who they closed, but again, think very large pharmaceutical organization. They closed one deal that was $243,000 in revenue. And I think, yes, one deal that's $243,000, I think all of us would celebrate that. I think what's even more impactful though is the simple fact that they were able to close one of their ideal customers. 6 months from now, they can write a case study and retarget the same group that is now already aware that they exist, that has already shown some level of engagement, and they can send another very specific case study of within 6 months, here are the results that we're able to generate. Because I think we like to look at marketing case studies as a moment in time, but the reality is that marketing is compounding over and over and over again over time. So just because maybe, there were 43% of the accounts that showed engagement didn't enter in the pipeline, it's not that they're lost forever. They may just not have a need at this very moment. But a year from now, they may come in and say, hey, we're ready to buy. And that ends up being a really, really fast sales cycle because of the awareness that they already had because of the personalized high level of content.
That's right. So, yeah. So this is just the first 3 months. The long-term effects of a play like this, really beneficial.
Absolutely. So now we're actually going to build a target account list using sales intel. And we've gotten a couple of questions specifically around layering intent data. So for this campaign, interestingly enough, we actually didn't layer on intent data. We just targeted, but in this demonstration, I'll actually walk you through how to layer on intent data. So
yeah, and I'll just say this about intent data. We have repeatedly seen case studies where people are sending out stuff to their ICPs, they're getting a response rate. The moment they add in intent data, the response rate goes up by a factor of 10, not 10%, 1000%. I think that's right. Like if I'm doing my math right, a factor of 10, it is huge. And so because you're capturing somebody at the moment they're thinking of something. So let's create an ICP, and I appreciate people chiming in with their ICPs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of, because it looks like everybody's got a little bit varying degree of detail in here. Let me do this. I'm going to kind of combine a little bit of this, and I'm going to give Mason a hard nut to crack. All right. So let me show you how I think through ICPs and why it's so important to go in greater detail. But let's say I don't know which company I want to go after. If you wanted to search on a specific company and you knew you wanted to go after FedEx, then you would just type that in and you would be able to see contact information. But so we're gonna, yeah, actually, thank you for that. And you can see all the details that we would have on FedEx very quickly. Found specific people in different departments too. So let's close this out and let's go into firmographics. So I'm going to say, so I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. Let's just say, let's pick that as location. I want to pick somebody in the metro area of Washington, D.C. There we go. Actually, it was just that drop down there. Yep, there we go.
There we go.
So, all right. And then in terms of keywords, let's skip that for now. We can get into like keywords in a moment, but let's go into industry. So let's say I want to target, I don't know, technology companies. So if we go down to information technology, and let's get even more granular. Let's say I want to target IT security one. So let's go information security. I think it'd be the second to last sub drop down on the bottom there. Yep, that one. All right, so let's just select that one. And you can see there's quite a few here. And then let's keep going down and see what other options we've got. Revenue. So how about we target companies that are doing, let's make it 10 million and up in revenue. Now, the thing is, targeting a company that's doing 10 million and up is a very different approach than targeting somebody who's doing $500 million. So let's maybe change this. Let's maybe do an ABM campaign to people 20 million and up. Sorry, let's just change that to 20 to 100 million. Okay, so something like a much more focused one. And if we find that it's too narrow, then we'll just like expand it. Employee size, I won't worry about employee size right now, but you can certainly put that in. And then we go into technographics. This is where it gets pretty interesting. In fact, actually, so does intent too. But like we've got firmographics, which is just stuff about the company. Then you got technographics, which is, hey, what do they use? Are they a Salesforce customer? Do they use HubSpot? Does that even matter in your sales cycle? If you knew somebody's using Salesforce, you know one thing right away. They have budget, because Salesforce is pretty darn expensive, right? So let's just type in Salesforce and just see like if they use something by Salesforce, any Salesforce product. So that's one thing I'm going to use as a criteria. And in terms of category, you can also do searches by product category if you wanted. So let's skip that for right now, because I just want someone who uses anything Salesforce. And now this is where it gets really neat for intent topics. So Mason, I'm going to put myself in your shoes for a second. Let's pretend that I am a DC area PR and marketing firm. Okay. And I want to find IT clients. So we actually partner up with Bombora, which is the gold standard in intent data. We have 8,000 categories, 8,500 categories that you can select from. And we put about 25 of them, I think, at one time here, but you can select any 25 you want, and you can change them up anytime you want. So we've got just a few here. So let's say I want to find somebody who's looking for the terms brand strategy and pick anything else, maybe brand positioning. All right. So yeah, there we go. And then let's just do a search. So
Just
now,
to,
yeah, let's like
sorry,
recap
step
on
in
what
real
we did.
quick.
Yeah.
This is our actual account for Mojo Media Labs. So I just want to throw this out there of we actually use sales intel. So if you're wondering why is the whole of the intent topic focused on specifically marketing things, like this is why. So completely advocate for sales intel. Love the tool, but
Yeah.
take it away, Rush.
Yeah. So, like here, we did a pretty narrow search, right? It's a very focused ICP, DC area companies that focus on all the other stuff that we selected, company size. The intent searches is really interesting, because what that tells me is in the last 4 weeks, somebody at that company searched for those types of terms somewhere on the web. So now, if I'm a PR person, I know, or marketing, if I'm an agency and I want to go target these people, I've found IT companies, and I could actually go click on any one of them. And so you can see, let's just pick one of these, Darktrace. Okay, so we've got verified people, human verified contacts, as well as machine verified. The human verified ones are re-verified every 90 days. Now, when you think about ABM campaigns, or just even your other strategies for that matter, knowing who to talk to and getting the proper phone number, email address, all that kind of stuff is very time consuming. In fact, McKinsey reports that reps waste about 25 to 40% of their time just hunting down the contact information of who they need to reach. So now, if I want to target somebody for selling agency type of service, marketing agency type of service, probably don't want to go reach the IT director, right? They're not going to buy it, but probably somebody in marketing might be somebody. So I can now go onto the left side, we're into the context area, and I can type in role. Let's go ahead and click on role. So like job title, or let's go to job level. Yeah, job level. I want to reach VPs, directors, and even C-level executives, maybe a chief marketing officer. And then in terms of the department, I just want to find people in marketing, maybe in sales also. So let's just select those two. So now I've narrowed it down. What I've really done here is I've done firmographic information about the company, technographics about what they use, intent about what they're currently searching on in the last 4 weeks. And now in the contact section, I've looked at the persona, which is the job title, the job role, and the department in which somebody is in. So now I can very quickly see I've got 29 human verified contacts that are director of sales, director of marketing. So here, there's a gentleman named Gary Sulkowski, chief channel management officer. You've got director of sales, you've got other people. And the other beauty of this is if there is somebody on here that we don't have the contact information for it, we have a research on demand feature. We have an army of 1,200 people that will come back and say, I'm looking for the chief marketing officer, the VP of marketing, whatever. If you don't happen to find it inside our system, and you just put a request on demand link, there's actually a button, you just click request on demand and type in what you're looking for, and it will come back, and our team will go research that and get that back to you, so you don't need to spin your cycles. But then you can just click and instantly see all of their contact information that we've got. So if you just scroll down further, we've got 29 human verified, 12 machine verified companies here. But I think I just saw one that said head of marketing, vice president of sales. There's a, if you just, yeah, I think we went, yeah, there's VP Customer Experience, yeah, Head of Marketing Events Americas. I'd probably want to reach out to that person. Quite possibly they could be looking for that type of help. Again, we know in the last 4 weeks, somebody was searching on this. So you can do something like this for any type of persona you want. And, with the whole great resignation and people changing jobs, knowing the up-to-date contact information is really, really important. And so yeah, so I, I like Scott's name. A little nervous that you were going to come up. So we're not going to reveal all the data inside here, but it is there. And my team is happy to show you a very detailed, personalized demo so you can see if it's a good fit for you, and we can help you find that out. In
So
terms of how we source our data, great question. Dana, thank you for that. So we actually have a sister company that has a lot of this data. We do it through a wide variety of mechanisms, and my team can actually go into all the nuances of it. But I believe we have about 100 million contacts in our system, and it just continues to grow every day. And we have, like I mentioned, an army of human verified people, so they are picking up the phone. I think we're making about 2 million phone calls every single month just to make sure that we've got proper phone numbers, 50 million mobile numbers for people. So this is a really cool way of reaching people. But the beauty of this is when you do your personalization effort for ABM, you can really cater that messaging right to the heart of what they're looking for. I mean, we saw people looking for branding related stuff. So I would send a message out with my little, whiteboard saying, "Hey, Mason," I wouldn't say, "Hey, I saw you were searching for branding stuff." That's a little creepy. Don't do that. Nobody do that. Okay. So what you want to do is just send something about, "Hey, we're seeing lots of IT companies focus on their branding efforts. This is something that we've helped lots of other organizations with. I'd love to have a conversation with you to see if this is something that could benefit you too." So reach out with a
absolutely.
message that's a little softer like that. And I think you're going to have a lot more success getting traction. So this whole process can take your whole ABM game and really accelerate it, save so much time, helps you find the right people in the different departments that could be managers. So when you go out to, or decision makers, I should say. So when you go out and start to reach out to them, you're doing it in a very focused way.
So I
Yeah.
want to go ahead and answer some of the questions we've seen coming in. So for example, I think this is referencing the strategy that we just walked through. The question was, do you layer on intent data to the strategy? And if so, what do you use to acquire that intent data? Again, for the strategy that we just walked through, we actually didn't layer on intent data, but now that you walk through exactly how we would have acquired that intent data. Another question that we had come in was just around, are those intent topics listed the exhaustive list, or are those relevant to Mojo's preferences? And those are just relevant to Mojo's preferences. I think, Raj, you said it earlier that there are over 8,500.
8,500 different topics. That's what, so it's Bombora. They are the gold standard in the industry. You can't get this from other places. Well, you could get it directly from them too, but we've got that and contact information. So a lot of people choose to get it directly from us. And so yeah. And the neat thing is, this changes. Like if we do a search in 2 months from now, the intent information is going to be different. So it might not be the same company searching for these topics. It's going to be a whole new set of companies that maybe, that's on their radar at that time. So it behooves you to just kind of look at this on a regular basis and find out who's trending on the types of things you can actually help with. So yeah, the list there that Mason's showing is custom to them, custom to Mojo, but you can create your own based on things that your company sells.
Absolutely. A couple other questions I want to go ahead and answer, and then jump into actually building a target account list that we're going to give away. But with that, again, Judy wants to streamline the ABM process with her new employer, but they haven't historically done ABM. So Judy, once we send out the replay of this tomorrow, just go ahead and send this link over to anyone that is having any kind of questions. And if they have any specific questions, Raj and I would be happy to answer anything. So again, just feel free to connect with us over LinkedIn. Andrew asked, what should be the balance between BDR supporting ABM versus doing their own autonomous outreach? Raj, with your 3-time CMO experience, I'm going to defer to you on this one.
Let me just get a little clarification on the question again. Sorry, I was just typing something into the chat and I got distracted right when you were talking. My mistake. Um, Share with me what we want to talk about again.
Yeah. So balancing BDRs supporting ABM efforts versus doing their own autonomous outreach.
Yeah. Okay. So BDRs supporting the ABM efforts. I've seen the ABM tend to be more of an AE type of play. I find like BDRs tend to be more focused on setting up demos, and they have a much broader number, a bigger number of people that they reach out to. ABM is, as Mason described, they had, let's say, 73 accounts that they wanted to go after. I don't know how many accounts your BDRs go after, but if it's, if it's 100, that's everybody for their ABM campaign. You got one person working it, and that's not really conducive because they're really on the phone, they're sending stuff out, they're doing similar tech activities, but the AEs are with these really large accounts really want to have that personalized effort. So when you send something, like I mentioned in the example, send something to a CFO, send something else to a chief marketing officer, something else to a chief revenue officer, that really needs to be coordinated. You can certainly work with your BDR if there's enough people to be reaching out to try to manage that, but I wouldn't leave them alone and run with it. BDRs tend to be a little bit earlier on in their careers and might not have the nuances of what some of these big sale conversations need to be like, and so we find that ABM tends to be more focused with AEs. Other people may have other experiences, but I'm just sharing what I've seen. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my general thought on this is, again, marketing and sales should be aligned. So as long as there is actual conversation around it and there's an agreement around the level of involvement, it's going to vary from org to org. But as long as everybody's on the same page, I think that's the key. Where a lot of people actually fall down is they just don't have the alignment. So Dana's actually asked a really good question about, does this integrate with Salesforce? Does this integrate?
Yes.
I'm also going to go ahead and throw out that it integrates actually with quite a few. So
yeah,
we have Salesforce, Dynamics 365, Zoho, and you can also do a CSV for companies. And then actually on the contact level, there's another thing that I really love. So let's say you've got a larger target account list of like 100 target accounts, and you only want to export one person per organization, for example. So you don't have 2 at one and then like 45 at another organization. You can actually input the number that you want to ensure you only export from each organization. And then on the contact level, you can export to Salesforce, HubSpot, Marketo, Outreach, SalesLoft, Dynamics 365, Zoho, CSV, or just a preview file. So lots of exporting options to make sure that you're getting this directly into your CRM so that your sales team and your marketing teams can actually go and execute with this information.
Yeah, and we're building out more, and we even have an enrich feature, a data enrich feature. So if you have data inside Salesforce right now, and just want to get it updated with all of this extra stuff, you can actually sync it up and boom, it'll go right to you. Got another feature actually we just introduced called Inbox Intel. I know a lot of times team members communicate with folks all the time via email. Wouldn't it be great to just have all the contact information from the footers, the signatures in your inbox automatically put in? That's what Inbox Intel does actually. So we just released that feature. It's in beta right now. It's for customers only. But if you're interested in exploring that, happy to set you up with one of my team members. You can take it to the conversation to the next level. So, yeah. So
right, well,
thanks for the note, Dana, about enrich. Yeah, that's actually a feature and we're about to release HubSpot enrichment as well in the new year. So.
And somebody just asked, does Enrich integrate with HubSpot? And they said, never mind, because you already read their mind as well.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Chris,
I'd love to have a conversation with you about actually like showing you exactly what is in our database for your specific target market. And so I'm going to do this. It seems like there's some interest here. And if you don't mind, I'm going to just type in my specific email address so you can kind of just bypass any forms and just send me a note directly, and I will personally follow up with you. So I just posted my note in my email in the chat. Again, LinkedIn is also a great way to reach out to me. I check in LinkedIn multiple times a day, and so hopefully we'll connect. So
Raj, I'm
Good.
taking after you. I'm putting my email in there as well. So
Good deal. All right.
Mojo, again, marketing agency that actually is partnered with Sales Intel, partnered with HubSpot, partnered with Terminus, and partnered with Sendoso. So you want a full-scale, comprehensive ABM campaign. We can do everything from the pilot using your existing tech all the way to helping you pick your tech stack that's going to match exactly what you need. Not seeing your emails. What we'll actually do, I'll make a deal with y'all. When we send out the replay tomorrow, I'll be sure that we also include mine and Raj's email so that if you have specific questions, you can do any kind of outreach that way.
I think I just saw what I did. I think I posted it to only the panelists, so you got to see it. Does everybody see my email now? I think you should, right? I think it'd be, yeah, cool. All right. Ping me directly and I will absolutely get back to you this afternoon.
The recording will be available. And one last thing before we go, we've been promising to give away a target account list. I think we need to build one.
All right. I'm going to let you take that one, Mason. Let's build something.
All right. John Lacey, you have won yourself a target account list. I will go ahead and build it live again, just to show how easy it is to leverage Sales Intel to build a target account list. But John's ICP is B2B tech. So we are going to focus, I'm on contacts. So let's jump back over to companies first. So we are going to do industry. Again, just for starters, I'm going to do information technology.
And that'll cover all of the ones in information technology. You can actually get much more nuanced in there as well.
He's got a minimum revenue of 20 million. Again, it looks like he's going more after CISOs, marketing directors, marketing managers. And really that's what he's put in. So we're going to go ahead and just start there. 20 million in tech.
Yeah, so that's pretty broad. So you're going to get a very large list coming back, and that might be too much for an ABM campaign. Like, look here, 50,000 companies we found that like match that criteria. So, an 18,000, almost 19,000 human verified contacts. So not really suitable for an ABM campaign. But what you can do then is just to start trimming it down. So maybe by geographical area, or put a max limit on the revenue. So 20 million, but maybe up to 100, 200 million, something like that. And then you can even add other things like what kind of other tools do they use? So yeah. I love Scott's comment. Better start prospecting now there, John. See you in 2030. Oh, I love the humor. So yeah, so I think this like here, we've still focused, he just put in 100 million as the max, still 44,000 companies. Like I mentioned, we've got 100 million contacts in our system and growing every day. So it's, so you want to just continue to narrow it down. And that's the really big part about ABM. I think a lot of companies say, oh, like anybody who's interested, anybody who's raised their hand, I want to pursue. So ABM's a little bit different than that. It's like, I only want to pursue these specific companies. And so you're flipping that on its head, where we're really narrowing it down. So I would continue to work with this and just narrow it down further. And in fact, maybe John, if you would like, just connect with Mason directly, and he can build out a very narrowed down list for you that actually has an achievable number of contacts you can go after. This one's like swallowing all of Thanksgiving dinner in one feeding. So yeah.
You read my mind. So John, feel free to connect with me. We've got two more questions I actually want to get to very quickly, and then we'll go ahead and sign off. But Tom asked, he said, we're in SaaS and our ACV, which stands for average contract value, is anywhere from 10K to 20K per year. Would ABM be a fit for us? Now, SaaS is interesting because it is by its nature built towards a recurring revenue model. So I would recommend that if you're going to do ABM, you would focus on the higher deal sizes. So if you have an average value of 10 to 20, you may end up actually having some customers that fit more towards the 25 to 30. And you can launch ABM in those average contract value ranges to feel out, does ABM work effectively for us? And then the other thing to consider, just by the nature of SaaS, is I would not necessarily look at average contract value. I would look more at average customer lifetime value. Because if you can acquire them, but they stick with you for 10 years, then your average lifetime value at that point is anywhere from 100 to 200,000. And at that point, you've justified moving into an ABM strategy. So those are just a couple quick thoughts. Again, I'm happy to hop on a call with you to feel that out a little bit more based on your specific needs. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and we can talk through that. Raj, I saw your finger go up when I talked about average customer lifetime value. So
Yeah.
Raj agrees, but
Totally agree with that. In fact, there's several other ways to look at this. One of my last companies, we had an average ACV around 15 to 20K range, but we found that when we started getting deeper into one company, there were other departments maybe that could use it, but there are also other ways to expand the revenue. So we were able to turn, I think we focused on about 20, 25 accounts. And so the other neat thing about ABM is that if you're in one account already, you can apply ABM to expand it, land and expand. And so we were able to turn 8 of the 25 into, I think, $80,000 to $100,000 deals. In fact, when we started adding up all the numbers, we launched an ABM campaign, which turned up an extra $1 million in a year from previously flat accounts. So there's a lot of fishing out there if you just like plan the strategy. Like the biggest thing is it's not the kind of thing you just sit down and start typing and flying emails going over. You have to really think this through. An agency can come in and help with that and help you ask and answer a lot of the questions that you need to. And also getting the data. That's clearly the, like a basis for it. So yeah, happy to help.
Absolutely. Well, again, I think we've said it a couple of times, but we're not kidding. If you really want to take a next step and you want to have a deeper dive into what Sales Intel could offer from a target account list perspective, from a building and enriching standpoint, or if you need help actually implementing anything from a pilot to a full-scale ABM campaign, feel free to connect with either one of us, and we'd be more than happy to help you as you're looking at having highly effective growth in 2022. Thank you all so much for joining. Again, any other questions, feel free to connect, and we hope you enjoyed.
Thank you. Hope
Bye,
to see
all.
you online soon and have a great new year. Bye-bye.